Pittsburgh Steelers are 11-0 currently, heading into heading into week 13, pardon me, of the 2020 NFL season. And look, everyone knows Pittsburgh is very, very talented. Ben Roethlisberger's a top 10 quarterback. The offensive line is great. They've got really good wide receivers. The defense has been lights out pretty much all year. Now, I will say, Bud Dupree and Devin Bush are out for the season now for Pittsburgh. Devin Bush obviously got injured earlier in the season. Bud Dupree recently got hurt versus the Baltimore Ravens this past week, so he's going to be out he's going to be out the rest of the way. Those are two huge losses, but again, when you look at Pittsburgh, they're very, very deep. They're a well-run team. They've got players that they can just plug in and say, hey, fill this guy's role. They'll be fine. They're still a Super Bowl caliber team that is more than capable of winning Super Bowl 55. However, I'm concerned that this Pittsburgh Steelers team has sort of peaked. I really am. Now, a lot of people are saying that Pittsburgh Steelers are overrated. They play no good teams. They're a fraudulent 11-0 football team. I disagree. I don't think Pittsburgh is overrated. However, I do believe in teams peaking at the wrong time. I think Pittsburgh might have already peaked, and that's a little bit of a concern because you look at this Baltimore Ravens game from this past week. That game was won by Pittsburgh 19-14. They beat Robert Griffin III and Trace McSorley by 5 points at home. That's concerning. If you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I don't know how you're not concerned about your football team going forward because Baltimore in that game missed an extra point. Ben Roethlisberger, he threw an interception in the red zone. The Steelers, they were fumbling on kickoffs. The Baltimore Ravens dropped a touchdown pass that really could have served them well going into halftime. There were a lot of missed opportunities and drop passes by Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers. And like I mentioned earlier, you beat Robert Griffin III and Trace McSorley by 5 points. The Baltimore Ravens virtually were rolling out a practice squad. The Baltimore had about 15 plus players, not playing in this game due to COVID. Okay, that's concerning. Okay, you should be destroying the Baltimore Ravens if that's the case. And I look at teams like Seattle, New Orleans, Buffalo, Green Bay. Those teams are ascending as we get later into the year. Pittsburgh, they're descending. And I understand Pittsburgh has a point differential of plus 129. That's very, very good. But I will say, my eyes, the stats don't align with what I see with my own two eyes. I always go by an eye test, and if the statistics match what I see on film and watch what I see on tape when I watch these games, then I'm convinced. I'm not convinced that Pittsburgh is quite as good as their record, okay? And Pittsburgh, they have some good wins on their schedule. They've beaten Cleveland, they've beaten Tennessee, and they've beaten Baltimore, but they also barely beat the Denver Broncos, who are not a good football team. They barely beat Houston, who's not a good football team. They only beat the Giants by 10 points, and at that time, the New York Football Giants were not a very good team. As we speak today, the Giants are much improved. They got them in week number 1. It'd be very interesting to see how well Pittsburgh plays them right now as we speak today. They barely escaped a terrible Dallas Cowboys team, and for what it's worth, the Tennessee Titans game was impressive, but they only won that game by 3 points despite dominating most of the way. So, all I'm trying to say is Pittsburgh, the standard is the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? You're going to have to go through that team. Now, I understand that Kansas City is not 11-0 like Pittsburgh is, but they're 10-1. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. Pittsburgh hasn't won a Super Bowl in over a decade. So, I gotta give the Kansas City Chiefs the benefit of the doubt and say they're the team to beat. And Pittsburgh, they're not dominating some of the teams that they should be dominating. They can't consistently run the football. They've not gotten the running game going all year. That's a concern. And if you cannot run the football and keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, then you're going to fall to the Kansas City Chiefs. That Pittsburgh Steelers team that we saw versus Baltimore, they're not coming close to being the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm talking about the Baltimore Ravens game this past week, not the first Ravens game when Lamar Jackson obviously played, okay? So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where Pittsburgh's a very good team. They definitely deserve our respect, and they definitely are better than the Tennessees, the Buffaloes, the Indianapolises, the Clevelands of the world. But I'm not sure if they're quite as good as Kansas City. I'm not sure if this Steelers team, as I speak today, is good enough to knock out Kansas City, despite getting Kansas City at home if the playoffs start today. But only time will tell. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.